All right, hot topic today. Wow, my God. FMCSA did put out a report on September 26th, and we're just going to recap that report. I'll give a little of my opinion, what I think about these points, but let's get to it. So again, few things we're going to talk about in this video. Number one, the new entry knowledge test. Number two, we'll talk about the speed limiters. Number three, we'll talk about the freight forwarder's financial responsibility. Number four, we'll talk about the automated emergency braking systems. And number five, we'll talk about the safety fitness procedures. So we need to understand one thing, that FMCSA was formed, or its existence is to make the US a safer place. That is number one on their agenda all the time, and everything that revolves in trucking has to do with safety and more safety measures and more safety measures and safety measures on safety measures. So all these initiatives and all these plans that they have for upcoming years is to make the highways a safer place. So as long as we understand that, and then every time, you know, there's new things that they're talking about, new things that they're bringing up, some of them are successful and some of them might not be successful, and this is not a joint venture between me and them. You know, my family's on those highways and your families are on those highways. There's a ton of trucks out there, and we want to make, you know, the US as safe as possible for everyone else. All right, number one, the new entrance knowledge test. So basically, in a nutshell, before they grant anyone a new entrance authority, they want you to do a test, or they want you to understand a little bit about safety and compliance. I think this is a beautiful thing. I really think that not anybody that just has the financial means to should be able to open up a trucking company or should be able to get a license to become a freight forwarder. I really truly believe that, you know, to become a truck driver, you need a license. That license takes time. You need to learn the rules, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. And I think that this is a great tool moving forward, that anybody that wants to get into this industry should be knowledgeable, at least, you know, the basics of when it comes to safety and compliance. Can a truck driver open up his new authorities? Absolutely, he should be able to, and he's knowledgeable, but I truly believe that there is a course that should be taken before anyone is granted their authorities to have a trucking company or to become a freight forwarder. All right, second thing we'll talk about, really heated conversation about speed limiters. Do they work? Do they not work? So guys, as you probably all know, I am a Canadian, so we run over 100 power units, and they all run cross-border. So for the last 6 years, I believe, we have already had speed limiters on our trucks. Every truck in our fleet is governed at 65 miles an hour. There's no way around it. Every truck is governed at 65 miles an hour. Yes, there was a lot of noise at the beginning from, you know, mostly I think it was owner operators. We as a fleet, we did not want that at the beginning. But again, the initiative is to make it a safer place. So does speed limiters make the highways a safer place? If you ask me personally, and I'm not a driver, but if you ask me personally, yes, it does make it a safer place. There's a difference between somebody driving 65 miles an hour versus somebody that's driving 85 miles an hour. What you can respond to on the highway, if something happens in front of you, if you're driving 65 miles an hour, you have a little bit more time to react than when you're driving 85 miles an hour. So number one is lower crash rates. I truly believe that because Ontario, which is a province in Canada, is governed at 65 miles an hour, I truly believe that there are lower crash rates amongst trucks from before when they were not governed versus now when they are governed. The second thing we're going to talk about, which is huge, is anybody who owns a truck. If you're a small fleet owner, if you're an owner operator, if you're a large fleet owner, for you, fuel efficiency is huge, okay? And I can run these tests all day long, and I can prove to you guys just with, you know, my computer and the data and the analytics that I have, that driving 65 miles an hour is a lot more fuel efficient than driving 75 miles an hour or 80 miles an hour. So anybody who owns a truck, having a truck governed will save you money on diesel. Third reason we'll talk about, I actually don't want to talk about this, the reduced emission. You know, I am for having a lower you know, carbon footprint out there, but I hate the way that they're going about it. I mean, for sakes, any 2017, 18, 19, 20, you know, trucks are polluting probably 20 times less than a truck that was manufactured in 98, 99, anything before 2005, okay? These trucks are polluting 20 times less than any truck that was manufactured before 2005. So why are you guys so worried about, you know, the new trucks that are coming out? Why not focus on those old trucks? I mean, give grants not to people buying new trucks. Give the grants for people that get rid of their older trucks. I, as a small fleet owner, am getting fed up with all these new gadgets in these trucks about, you know, pollution and the EGRs and the EGR valves and the EGR cooler. And now there's going to be something else added in 2025, a whole new thing that they want to basically reduce the emissions. So back to our original topic about governed trucks. Do they reduce the emissions? Yes, it does. So if you're looking at solely from that, yes, I truly believe that governed trucks are better and it makes our highways a safer place. It's okay to think you know, otherwise. Just put the comments down below. I'd love to read, you know, your feedback on why you think that this is more dangerous on our roads to have governed trucks. All right, the third topic we're going to talk about is the broker and freight forwarder financial responsibility. So what's happening out there? A lot of double brokered stuff, and a lot of times a carrier does not get paid for their work. Why? Because a broker will not pay them on time. They will close their doors. They want to put more rules in place against these freight forwarders and basically bind them to paying these truck drivers. How do you do that? Well, before they used to have a $25,000 bond. Now they upped it to $75,000. So if you want to be a freight forwarder in the US, you have to have a bond. So do I think that $75,000 is enough? Absolutely not. Do I think that a bond is a good idea? Absolutely not. I truly believe that, you know, you need to cough up cash and put it somewhere. So this way that if you won't pay your carrier, somebody has access to that cash. Now, a bond is pretty much almost the same thing, but it's really not, because when you post a $75,000 cash, if you post $100,000 cash, you're gonna think twice before you do something stupid. Truly, do I believe that there should be more financial responsibility? Absolutely. Carriers are getting destroyed. Freight forwarders not paying their invoices, and it's not just them. It's, you know, the shipper, the receivers, manufacturing plants. I mean, we know that when a freight forwarder doesn't pay us, we go straight to the shipper and the receiver. You know, under the Bills of Lading Act, we basically go after both the shipper and the receiver. So they also have enough already of these freight forwarders. And I truly believe over the next year or two, there's going to be a significant change within that freight forwarding world, because, you know, change needs to happen, and that's what FMCSA is for, and that's why they're bringing up the freight forwarders financial responsibility. So the next one, the automated emergency braking systems. Is it good? Yes, it is good, but I'll tell you a story of, you know, a couple of times of what happened to us with our fleet and our emergency braking system. So we had, in the 2017 and 18 models, we had the emergency braking system on it. Now, we had 2 trucks out of the 10 or 12 that we ordered. I don't know if it was a malfunction. I don't know if it was something that, you know, that didn't work properly. But basically, these 2 trucks, the second it went under a bridge when the sun was going down, and it usually happened when the sun was going down, so it wasn't pitch black, but it wasn't really, really bright. So every time that truck would go under a bridge at that time, the truck would think that something is in front of it and it would slam on the brakes. It happened a couple of times. By the 3rd time already, we already deactivated the emergency braking system. Now, that could have been, you know, 5-6 years ago. Obviously, you know, things evolve and technology gets better and better. Do I think that it's a good system? Absolutely, it's a good system if it works. Because of those 2 defects that we had, we don't order our trucks anymore with the automated braking systems. I would have to, you know, really feel confident, because it's extremely dangerous. Now, in a situation like that, who is liable, right? Is it the driver? Is it the trucking company? I mean, think about it. If an accident happens because of this automated braking system, liability is, you know, it's huge, because a claim like that, I mean, if a driver is driving and all of a sudden the system thinks that something is in front of it, slams on the brakes, you got a flatbed load behind you, or you got a trailer behind you, that trailer, the product flies all over the highway. I mean, these are claims that could potentially be in the millions of dollars, and then who is to pay for a claim like that? It's not the driver's fault that the system went on. You know, it's not the trucking company's fault. The OEMs, I mean, are they going to take responsibility for it? I don't know. Is the company that invented it, are they going to take responsibility for it? And then good luck trying to prove that all. I just know the experience that I have had with it, and I really hope that, you know, the technology becomes a lot better, that these things don't happen. All right, so the last topic is safety fitness procedures. So how carriers currently right now are getting their FMCSA, their score. They categorize you on 6 different topics. So on general, on driver, operations, vehicles, hazmat, and then your accident factor. Is that enough? Absolutely not. That's not enough. Years in business should definitely be taken into consideration within a formula. So for example, a carrier, size-wise and years in business should definitely be taken into consideration, and right now it doesn't take into consideration. So what do I mean? You know, if a carrier is 10 plus years and has had an audit in the past and they do things right in their office, the formulas should be different for them than somebody that's a new carrier that's been in business for 2 or 3 years. The second thing that I really truly believe should be happening is a deeper dive on logbooks, logbook violations, ghost drivers. I think there's more fraud today on electronic logs than there were back then on paper. I remember the inspections before, when a driver would go in, you would have your fuel receipts, you'd have your bill of lading, the officer can pretty much see where you were at which times. Today with the e-log, I don't even understand how in the world the US allows, and Canada also, how they allow companies that are not in the US and Canada, how they allow these companies to operate a logbook system with offices being offshore. So what do I mean by that? So an e-log system that was designed in India, Serbia, in Russia, how they allow these e-log systems to be used in Canada or in the US, that drives me nuts. So many stories I hear of driver calling safety, basically editing their logs, and these logs are they're not from here, and they're getting away with it. You know, ghost drivers, there should really be more emphasis on bad carriers, and I think that the truck drivers are uniting and they are speaking out about these bad carriers, but not a lot is happening to these carriers. Every time I hire a driver, I mean, there's horror stories, but definitely there should be more of an emphasis on the technology being used and getting that on lockdown, standardized systems that people use, you know. So I don't believe that, you know, that we should be using other systems in our trucks, especially when it comes to e-logs. Another thing that could be done a little bit different is you know, on-site inspections, random inspections on equipment. So for example, you know, here we have our terminal here in the GTA, we have a terminal in Atlanta, Georgia, and the closest scale is not really, you know, around, and I feel like there's a lot of bad equipment locally. That I feel like, you know, if a inspection were to happen, a pop-up were to happen, you know, at a person's yard, I think that, you know, an officer would definitely be able to find a lot of defective equipment. I see it here all the time in the GTA. There's hundreds and hundreds of trucks, but really there's not a lot of inspection stations here locally. So I feel like that might make a big difference on equipment. And again, I think we're all at the end of the day, I mean, we're all in it to try to make these highways a better place and a safer place. So that's why, you know, I put this video together. Hopefully you learned something from this video. I really want you guys to comment on, you know, on things that you heard here, on, you know, what you think of these new things. Some things you could be for it. You know, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, I'm against, but there's definitely ways to bring out, you are against something, you know, how you make the comment. No need for the F this and the F that. Put your comments down below and I'll read them and I'll definitely respond to it. I'm Ronen, R-O-N-E-N, and I'll catch you in my next video.